I think it's one reason that you and I are both such big hip hop fans because I feel like the word is like humans. It's like our direct connection to the divine, right? Like it's our ability to share stories and our imagination and to be able to literally like create worlds in our mind and then pass that world to somebody else, you know. And hip hop really does that in just the most artistic, beautiful way when you combine music and cadence, flow, lyricism. And so when you talk about some of these topics, a lot of times my mind is just like racing with different rap lyrics that I love. And one of the things you were just saying just then reminded me of that soul verse on that Lupe song. He's like, and as a matter of fact, if matter is fact, a matter factory is in the making, perhaps. It's like everything that matters began in our imagination,
Mm-hmm.
even matter.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
I do see. That's the
and that's
that's
exactly what you were talking about.
yeah. Got
That's why I
I
love
mean, it, it's a but that's what I'm saying. It's like the ability to even do that, man. Seriously, it's a art, it's a craft, it's something that is put in you by something
in the best
that
way you seem to be tapped into it.
huh.
The best, the best rappers, hip hop artists, the best ones seem to be tapped into that.
And they all tell you that. They all say, when I got to a point in which I can like almost meditate and these things just come to me and that is God. That is it. It's because it's so beautiful, it's so mysterious, it's so complex at the same time. Where are all these layers of metaphors and entendres and I get it. You can sit down and pick apart something and mess around with it for a week straight and come up with something and be like, okay, yeah, but still, it was something that started as almost nothing, a clean slate, And the same thing could be said with painters and other people too. I'm sure. My point is that I'm gonna obviously comment on something that really hits close home to me. That I mean, those things remind me of and bring me close to those sort of layers that I feel we can peel back even farther and get closer to certain spaces and entities and whatever else. It's so complex and it's so big and it's such a study that I don't have all the answers to it, but it's obviously it's so masterful, it's so complex, it's so convoluted, but at the same token, like you said,
It's
it can be
magic.
so simple.
It's
It
magic
can be,
because there
yes,
are. I mean, I definitely am guilty of making these certain like grand metaphysical things sound simple. However, I always like to. I think it is natural and best, at least in my opinion, to try to simplify everything. But I do see what you're saying with like
mm-hmm.
there's what people call angels and demons and gods and a lot of people think of these things as like other dimensional or whatever. But I think a lot of them are here, you know, with
Mm-hmm.
this world. So
Yeah.
um, me and Kenny were talking about this yesterday. He was like, God's like to be worshipped. You know, it's like to me, if you're living in love, that's the ultimate worship of existence itself. The reality itself is just enjoying and being grateful for life, for your
Mm-hmm.
life and your own experience. And sometimes it's hard because your experience might have been really fucking shitty, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
at
Mm-hmm.
any point, you can turn that around with the proper mindset and the proper gratitude for breathing and for the present moment, regardless of how shitty the past is, you know?
Yeah. But I can tell that that's your main.
Past, like the perception on that it doesn't necessarily change what happened, but changing how you see what happened can make it, at the very least, make the present and the future better. Because if you're making the present better, the present is what builds the future. So as long as you're taking whatever's happened in the past and making it better right now, whether that's just by having gratitude for life or telling a story that you prefer to live in, because the story that you tell yourself is also the story that you're going to enact. The story that you believe about life and about yourself and about your purpose in life and your purpose in this reality, the way that you believe all those things, the output is the way that you actually act and the way that you actually operate in the world. The input is what you believe and how you agree to see yourself and to see reality. And so I guess my point in saying that is just like gratitude. It is simple, and but at the same time, I acknowledge what you're trying to say in that it can be complicated because it's like it's definitely easier for some people to see the gratitude and to see the light side than for others, because of different
Yeah,
experiences and different
it's a
situations.
different experience, right?
So, I mean, just all comes back to the yin yang, man. I feel like that symbol, as far as we have to, if we have to use symbols to try to like send a message or like transmit a conception of reality. To me, I think the yin yang is both the most simple and complex, and because of that, most accurate symbol to represent what reality really is, summed up in one symbol.
Symbolism, which is probably why it's so known and so understood. But what I was going to say was that I know the chapter of your story at this point, though. G is love. It clear, and it has been for a while. It has been,
I feel
but
like
it's always every time we talk, it's reminded to me that your mission statement, if you had one, would be love. At this would be love.
And I think it has to be unconditional. Like if you place a condition on love, I don't feel like it's really love anymore. Like by definition, it's not love if it's not unconditional, and you have to have, in order to have unconditional love for yourself, you also have to have that for those who stand against you and disagree with you. And which is why I always emphasize listening to other people, because if I want to be heard, then I got to listen to other people. The energy that you put out is what gets reciprocated. So if I'm not feeling heard, then I feel like that's a reflection of I'm not listening to somebody or to something that I need to be listening to.
Good point. That's a good point. Very good point. Very solid point. I think a good lesson. I think the other.
We went from God and we kind of finished with like the music industry, but there's connections there. I mean,
of course it is.
Frequencies of course. Vibrations passing through matter. That's a divine phenomena, and that's what reality Absolutely. Is literally quite literally made of, is matter and vibration. So music is really fundamental and foundational to the reality that we experience. So like I said, so the whole point of me saying that is just, I think, to center all of these podcasts around God, not necessarily in the super religious. Like I understand why a lot of people are turned off by the term God, because it's a corrupted word. I mean, even Don Miguel uses the word a lot, but he's older. And if you read the Fifth Agreement, I don't think you've read that one yet, but if you read that, Don Jose says, he resists using the word God. He'd just rather use the word love, because the word vibrates more with what we're actually trying to get at. When people like Don Miguel, like his dad, say the word God, what he's really getting at is love, is the true reality that we have been created by and are living in. and are
I
protected.
agree.
So
I agree. I agree.
this was awesome, man.